Hello, my name is Don Hadley with Applied Vision Works. Wanted to talk to you about something that's very, very important. A lot of people, a lot of teams get together, talk about let's communicate more. And I think that's a great thing. Families do it, it's communication is good mostly. The problem is, as you begin to communicate more, there's a tendency to also have more disagreements or arguments. If people are being more open, expressing more opinions, if you're talking about subjects that have value and that mean more and are deeper and important, there's going to be more disagreement. And so what we find absolutely critical is that you need to pay some attention to how do you have a tough conversation? How do you resolve conflict? In one of our other modules, you've learned about defensiveness. In a conversation, particularly tougher ones or where there's conflict or difference of opinion, you want to stay out of that. So if you haven't looked at that video, highly recommend you do so. This video is about one of our two conflict resolution models. This one we call FIFA, very simple, FIFA, and it's kind of an abbreviation, but it's if I'm going to go into an interaction, if I'm going to struggle with someone, I will actually use this and write out a script. And I partly write out a script to get my feelings, the facts, the different elements of the situation clear. I also get certain words or phrases and make sure I'm not using emotionally charged words, things that'll cause them or spark them. Obviously, calling someone a jerk, I would not want that in the script. But also if I talk about people's intentions, they intended to hurt someone or they intend ill will, I've also got to be a little bit careful how I say that or maybe don't say it, because intentions you can't see. Intentions are inside people. All we can do is look at behavior. So one of the other principles kind of involved in this is we're also trying to focus on behavior and not necessarily going through an entire history, not necessarily going through what someone's intentions were. I think most people wake up in the morning with pretty good intentions. There's a few people that wake up intending to hurt or harm someone, but I think it's very limited. So most cases, conflicts occurring between very well-meaning people that just simply have gotten at odds. And usually it means they've gotten frustrated, angry with each other, and maybe reading too much into something. So the way the FIFA model works is the first thing you want to do is share the facts. So if I'm talking to Susie, I might say, Susie, the facts are we've agreed every Monday at 9:30 a.m. you're going to have this report ready. The last 3 out of 4 Mondays you did not have the report ready. And you want to make sure the facts are the facts, they're not arguable. Then I'll go to the second part. My interpretation is either I'm not being clear about what I'm saying, or you're not understanding the importance of it, or you've got other priorities that you're putting over this specific report. And I want the interpretations separate from the facts, because too often if someone comes at me, Hadley, you're a jerk, you're making this happen, why do you intend to do this? A lot of times people are starting with this interpretation and they're mixing it into the facts. You want these two separate things because it's my responsibility to interpret appropriately. That's different than the facts. I also need to share the interpretation so they know how the behavior is being viewed. There's a lot of leaders I talk to that have some actually pretty good behavior, but the way they're doing the behavior sends the wrong interpretation to someone else. So part of what I want people to do is look at, I don't care what you did, how are other people interpreting it? So when you have these interactions back and forth, it's important to define what the interpretation is. This makes me feel frustrated, angry, annoyed, etc. I have a tendency to be a little bit of an intense person. So sometimes as I'm being intense, people think I'm very, very angry, and I'm not. I'm just kind of annoyed, or actually sometimes excited, and they think I'm upset. So I've learned that naming what my feeling is to people helps put them at the right level of intensity with me and has helped prevent unclear interpretations by other people of my behavior. Also, I think some leaders say, well, feelings don't belong in business. That's a load of crap. Feelings are part of the human experience, the human element, human life. And so naming those feelings is a good way, whether you're the one expressing these things or if someone's come to you with a conflict resolution, is to get clear on this part, because this is going to drive it. And a lot of times if there is a negative feeling, you're trying to figure out how to get this to a positive feeling where people feel motivated. This actually relates to the 3 parts of the mind video that you may have already watched. If you haven't watched that, you need to go watch it. It also relates to Maslow's pyramid. It's about what motivates people. You need to go look at that one if you haven't done it. So there's 3 things so far. Here's the facts. Here's my interpretation. This is how I feel. And then you state an action. People can't change intent necessarily. They can't change how they feel necessarily quickly, but they can change behavior. So a lot of the interactions I'm having, how do we get behavior change? And so making that proposal. Now everybody thinks the model kind of ends there. It doesn't. That's just the first person speaking. Usually it's the person that brought it to the table, not always. We'll talk about how to reverse the roles in a second. The second person is supposed to reflect back. Gee, Don, what you shared with me is these facts. Your interpretation is this. This is how you feel, and this is the action you want from me. Doesn't mean they agree. They're just repeating back to me. Taking notes when someone's kind of going at you, there's nothing wrong with that. I've done that a million times. Now make sure you keep eye contact, look down to make the notes, but then look up again. You want them to feel like you're with them. And then you ask the question, is there more? Especially if there's a lot of emotion in this, there's very, very good odds that this wasn't the only event. This might have been the 3rd or 4th or 5th, might have been the 20th event. I've had people tell me things have been going wrong for 3 years and they've never gone to address it with the person. And so drawing out that 3-year thing, man, that could take an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours in some cases. And again, we're not necessarily resolving the issue. We're just trying to get clear what it is and keep drawing out till there's nothing left. So let's say I'm talking to someone. Let's say someone comes at me, someone working for me, say, man, Don, I'm so upset. You've made me feel shitty. You did this and this and this. If they're leading with feelings, that's okay. So I might say, okay, just so I'm tracking, I've made you feel this, 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 this. Is that accurate? Yeah, that's how I feel. So, but just so I understand, what are the facts? What actually happened, just so I know what kind of led up to this. And then I get them to lay out the facts, and I'll repeat it to them. And I'll say, okay, based on those facts, I know how you feel, but based on those facts, what's kind of the message you got, or what's the interpretation you took out of those facts? Blah, 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 blah. And then I'll repeat back. And then I'll say, what's the action you want? What do you want me to do next time? So I have done very little talking other than repeat back. They don't know the model is my assumption in this example, but I'm walking them through those 4 pieces so they break it into the 4 steps. So the first, one of these, I could start with any one of these and then walk someone into the other ones. I've got a good sense of it. And then I'll say, is there anything else? Are there other situations like this where I've done this to you? Or is this the first time? And again, I'm trying to draw them out and get an understanding of what it is. Be a little bit careful if you do this with your family. If your family feels like you're running a model on them, sometimes spouses, kids get a little upset at that. But to me, I'll actually do this with my kids if they get upset. We had a little bit of an upset with one of the daughters, used it recently, and it worked very, very well. And it made for a very simple, quick, easy resolution. So this FIFA model, we very much like. You need to practice it. One of the homeworks is want you to go out and 3 times in the next week, pick out conflicts. Don't pick out the biggest ones, but pick out some that matter. Don't pick minor things, but pick out something where it's worth writing out a script, write it out, go to the other person and just say, hey, look, I want to talk to you about something. I want us to work together better. I want us to enjoy our relationship more, but I'm struggling a bit, want to talk to you. Could you and I go talk privately? Obviously, you want to do it somewhere private. Could we go talk privately over to the side or in this room, or grab a cup of coffee and talk through it? And then, feel free to have your script with you. If you're really nervous about it, say, hey, look, I'm a little nervous about this. I kind of wrote up my script. And most people really appreciate the effort you're putting into it. I have yet to have anybody that's been made fun of or somebody's upset, but they see you trying and working hard at it. So it's the best way to learn. But do 3 in the next week. On my calendar, actually Sunday at 9 p.m., I have it says relation check every week in my calendar. And it's who are people that I need to go have a conversation with. And usually it's situations or there might be something tough that's getting pushed away, swept under the table. Maybe it's something that came up that week. It's like, I need to go back and talk to that person and figure out what happened. One of our coaches will be calling you in a couple weeks to follow up with you to hear how these interactions went. But also, as we normally do, very, very highly recommend that you make this a habit. You get great at it yourself, actually, but then also teach it to the people around you so they get great at it also, and it becomes a habit. When two people both know the model, it really works super well and makes it feel smooth. Thank you.